Well, I'm excited about today's show. First of all, we're kicking off the 5th season. I can't believe that this is our 5th season. It seems like just yesterday we started the show. And I can't think of a better group to have on the show than one of my favorites right here, Chapel Hart. They're amazing, and I just love them. And I know you're going to love them if you don't already. And if you don't, then you should. And
I like that. I do not object.
And I think everybody fell in love with you guys after that America's Got Talent. I mean, it just went viral. Your lives had to probably change just like that.
Man. I feel like a lot of people say we kind of like the overnight success, but the overnight after AGT was definitely a rocket ship.
You had been working a long time before that. You had like 3 or 4 albums, didn't you, before that show?
I tell people we've been doing this probably around a decade-ish. So we've been around a long time. Yeah. And even before we moved to Nashville, we were doing music in New Orleans and playing shows in New Orleans. So we really, so I feel like by the time we got here, people were like, there's some new folks in town. Like, and it was like, it wasn't just like we were just like showing up. Like, we had been, hounding the pavement probably 5 years before that. So, we're
what I love about your all's sound is you all are a really authentic country music.
Oh, yeah.
I was telling even the gang here, I said, when I listen to their music, they're more country than most of the artists today. And I mean that in a very good way. That's a compliment. Because I love country music,
Yes.
And who were some of your influences? And what I mean by that too is you'll see a lot of people when they go in now to do their albums, they have this like really rocked up with a little bit of some country elements to it, and it's really rocked up. But boy, they bring the fake twang to their voice. I'm not knocking anybody for their art, and everything, because it's very popular, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying. You know a Southern accent when you hear it, or it's real, or when it's not real, and authentic songs, and not everything's about hooking up and getting drunk and and everything, and you all do such great music, good family, love America, love each other, I just love all your sound. I was telling them, I said it's kind of like Dolly's music, kind of uplifts people. In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Who are some of your influences?
I feel like that's kind of like a 3-part question or a 3-part answer. But thank you for saying that, because when we first started coming to Nashville, when we first got with our booking agent, he was like, well, I think that y'all might be too country for country radio.
Right.
And I think it's, we grew up in South Mississippi, and like you say, you can tell the difference whenever somebody really is country or, they put it on. But I feel like for me, I'm a little old school. I used to say I like my country like my cars, all the good stuff's before 85.
Chris Christopherson, don't forget about me.
Right. Yes. Well, and it's funny that you say even Chris Christopherson, because at one point in my life, you could not tell me that the Highwaymen was not composed just specifically for me. I was like, four of them in one group. This is heaven.
I love this.
And we always kind of like map out our like kind of the way we describe it, and I was like, Tree's got everything from like 85 on back, and so like 90s country, 2000s country is kind of like my it's my sweet spot. It's where I grew up in country music, and but it was I grew up and my influences were like and I always tell people say people ask like, what makes country music? I said, country music is one of the very few genres that you got to be able to stand flat-footed and sing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I was like, a lot of genres, kind of praise auto-tune and, kind of the beats and everything's kind of mechanical. But country music's the one where you got to stand behind the mic.
Yes.
And you got to hit the note. Like, you know what I mean? And so, so it was Martina, it was Trisha, it was
Gretchen.
I was trying to not say Gretchen so you can Tarek. But it's I tell people I've sat in a room and watched Gretchen Wilson sing a cappella Flatfoot, and just literally tears were just like flowing from my eyes, and I think that's a really like that era of
Yeah.
music is really, I think, where is the thing that influenced me, and also even in the songwriting, like
Yeah.
you know. So
And I think with Danica being my sister, and
Yep.
I was always in the car with her, and so she kind of introduced me to music overall. So the same, like Gretchen Wilson is my bread and butter. I absolutely love her, and having her on our Christmas album was
Man.
it was everything for me. That was bucket list.
You know the Redneck Woman song. It was about when she says, "I know the lyrics to every Tanya Tucker song," and they had an event where Tanya, I guess, was there or whatever and joined her on stage, or she asked Gretchen on the stage or whatever and asked her to sing along, and Gretchen didn't know the song. She said, "That girl don't know my songs." And she said, "I didn't write this song." She said, I loved it, but I love all that era. I
Yeah.
love all of it too, because we kind of probably, I'm probably a little older than you guys, but yeah, we kind of similar eras, all of that. So I love all that music. I love music I love every genre of everything, and a little bit of everything. Very style of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever like count anything out.
Right.
But
I always say riding in the car with us is like an iPod shuffle. Like it's just like you can put it on and like we just like I don't know, we grew up on gospel music and
Yes.
country music and
my background, gospel
look, and that's what I say, and Tree and I, we went through our grunge phase as teenagers. And so but I feel like a lot of times you can really tell what music we came up on, is you can hear the influence in a lot of our music. It does have that traditional kind of country feel, but also there's some songs that have that rock element.
Yeah.
And then some of it kind of has a little. We've got a song called "Cry for Me" that has more of like a blues element almost, like just kind of tells that story. So it just. And I don't know, I love that. But I also love kind of having that wide palette of music, because it just I always say music is the medicine, and music can heal you in ways that that sometimes you can't find the exact words, but if you can put on the song that'll speak to your heart, it'll make you weep. Or if you're feeling sad, you can put on one of those old school, My Girl. You can put on My Girl in the kitchen. Next thing you know, you kind of dancing and sweeping and so so I think that it shows up in the music, I think.
How did you get this song about "You Can Have Him, Jolene"? How did you? Because that's such a clever song. I mean, it was so clever. It was. And Loretta tweeted it out. And Dolly, I think, tweeted it out.
Yes.
Too. That had to be like amazing. When you're just blowing up like that.
And I don't think we could have ever imagined that song became what it was. But if you like go down our YouTube rabbit hole, you'll see we made like a cover video for 9 to 5, and it was during COVID. Everything was shut down, and so our managers had the wherewithal to be like, if the world's gonna shut down, y'all are gonna be together.
Yeah.
So we were staying in this. We called it our Redneck Riviera because it was like floating boat houses. There was a yacht club. There was a trailer park. There was a marina. There's like all kinds of cons in our bubble. Yeah. And we had taken over the kitchen one day to record this video. And if you watch in the very beginning of the video, Dev walks in and she's a line cook. And before she puts her apron on, she has a shirt that says "You Can Have Him," signed Jolene. And Danica looked at that shirt when she came in.
I'm like, wait a minute, how you gonna take my man then tell me I can have him? I said, how about "You Can Have Him, Jolene"? And we were all like, what? I was like, that's a song. And I always say, and the beauty of this is that, as a songwriter, you'll probably say at least 3 times a day, ooh, that's a song. Like, that's something. Ooh. And so, but when we, after COVID, we were sitting down and we were just sitting down to kind of write, and we were thumbling around, and we were like, why don't we pull back up that song "You Can Have Him, Jolene"? You remember when we were kind of going through it? And so we started going through the scenarios of why she could keep him.
Yeah. We had way too many.
Way too many.
So you all actually wrote that.
We wrote that.
Oh wow, that makes it even better.
And so, but the beauty in not giving up is that we were probably in Nashville for like 2 years, and we were like, listen at this song, tell us what you think. And it was always like, it's good, but like, it's good, but you should be writing with this person. It's good, but maybe you should get with this person to help like tune it up or, you know,
Or
fine
maybe we
tune
wouldn't
it.
say it that way.
You know, I wouldn't
it's-
exactly use those words, but so it was always something. So even right before we went on AGT, it was kind of starting to feel, we kind of like you know how you let the air out of the balloon a little bit. So it was like, it started to feel like it was starting to deflate a little bit. And we were like, you know, sometimes, you know, people say everybody think their baby is cute, but sometimes the baby is ugly. And so we were like, is our baby ugly? And so we were on AGT, but we were actually going to AGT and we were going to audition to 9 to 5 because we had to, you know, it was fun. We sang it live, you know, we practiced it. And You Can Have Him, Jolene was our backup song. And before we went out, it was maybe about
20 minutes
before we went out.
Stage.
And the music director says, she said, just let me hear that original song one more time. She said, let me hear it one more time. And she said, I want you to perform it like you're out there. And we sang You Can Have Him, Jolene. And when we finished, she said, that's the one.
Yeah.
She was like, I know y'all want, she's like, I know y'all. She said, don't get me wrong, 9 to 5 is great. She said, but she said, that song is, she said, and the fact that you all wrote it, she said, take the chance on yourself. She said, do it. She said, because even if they hate it, you took a chance on yourself. She said, you went out in front of the world and you did it. And I always just say, thank God that we did.
Yes.
And then this year, you all made your debut at the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, what was that like? That had to be like just amazing to walk on that stage. That's like heaven.
Yeah.
Well, heaven here, you know, in music.
Yes.
Heaven, as I think it's as close to heaven on earth as you can get, and it's funny because like we hit the road after AGT, and a lot of people were like, you know, y'all were robbed, y'all came in 5th place, but honestly, 2 days after the show was over, we made our Grand Ole Opry debut.
Yeah,
I was like,
in 22.
you can't tell me that we weren't the real winners because
And
I still can't believe
I tell
it.
you, yeah, no. I like for a country music artist. I said to someone one time, they were like, you know, they was like, I've heard great things about this Grand Ole Opry place. I said, let me tell you what, you can ask every single country music artist, no matter if they started yesterday or if they've been singing 900 years, ask them what is their goal, and I guarantee you, on some part of their list, and it's probably in the top 10, is to sing on the stage at the Grand Ole Opry. I said it's that important. It's that huge. It is that. And we went and we were at our debut, and I don't think we got it. When I say the energy and the feeling of family, and that's what I say. People are always like, if I can do anything to help, let me know. And then they're like, just in case you have to tell them you need them to do anything.
Yeah.
And so, but I said, every person at the Grand Ole Opry stopped us and they looked us in the eye and said, if there's anything we can do, let us know. And I said,
And they mean it.
and
Been true to that to this
listen,
very day.
Vince Gill was in that group, and you know, we were like, oh, okay, and the Eagles were playing in New Orleans, and he was like, listen, y'all come out, have lunch with me, and let's talk. I want to get to know y'all better. He was like, I listened to some of your stuff, I love it, and we were like, yes. And our grandmother passed away a few days before, and so it was so much, and you know, we didn't get a chance to go, but I was sitting at her house in the yard. It was maybe like 9 o'clock at night or something, and my phone had been ringing all day of just people just being like, I'm so sorry, like if there's anything I can do, let you. And so I saw a Nashville number, and I was like, well, maybe just let me take this. I said, you know, I was like, I surely this is, and I answered the phone, and he goes, hello, and I said hello, and he said, hey, Miss D. He said, it's Vinny Gill. And I was like,
How did you get?
and I was like, hello. And so, but anyways, he said, I heard about your grandmother. And he said, I saw the pictures on Facebook. He said, he was like, I didn't know her. He said, but I could feel her in my heart. He was like, he said, I can only imagine the legacy that she's left. He said, I've been seeing everything that people said about her. He said, but I just wanted to call and give my condolences from me and my family. And he said, you know, I mean it. If there's anything I can do, let me know. And I was like, thank you. So like, we hung up, and I just cried, and I said, man, like, and that is the spirit of the Grand Ole Opry.
Yes.
And
Nashville was like that, I think.
Yeah.
I love Nashville. I always tell everybody, you know, when people ask me, because I left everything and moved here, not to talk about myself because I don't do that, but and came here, and everybody was just so welcoming.
Yeah.
You needed anything. I worked for, I managed a gospel singer, Dottie Rambo, and everybody loved her. And so they loved me just right off the bat because of her. And anything you needed, they were all that, always like that. So I always tell people when they ask, this is the greatest city to me in the whole place. It was like a family. Even when you needed them, you always heard from people you didn't even know.
Yes.
So
I would say it's the biggest small town ever.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Now it's gotten so big.
Right?
It was better in the 90s and 2000s.
And I feel like we've been,
but I still love it.
we've been coming, I like to say we've been back and forth in Nashville, at least for like the last 7 years, and it has changed drastically in just that short amount of time.
When we first got here, people would always be like, ooh, Nashville has changed in the last 5 years. But now that we've been here, and we tell people coming in, it has changed so much since we've been here.
I always say the wrong thing, but it's so funny when I say it. I'll have friends together and stuff, and I'll try to explain to them downtown was not like that for a long, like in the early 2000, like 2010 or something. And it wasn't so heavily occupied by all of those bars and all that. It was kind of empty spaces and porno houses. That's all it was. And I said, I liked it better when it was all porno places and all that. And they look at me like, I said, no, I don't mean that. I mean, it was more, not so crowded. You could go and do your, go to the rest of record shop.
You had somewhere you could park.
Yes.
Without having to pay $90 for 3 hours.
The homeless were so much more fun. They dressed. There was one. He would dress up in clown makeup and get pictures with people. And there was a guy that used to have a monkey down there. You could get your pictures with him. So, but they don't. It's, a lot of that's changed. So I miss that. But I still love this place. I love it. And I love I love that everybody was so welcoming to you. I knew that they would. That was one of my questions because you watch television, and I hear people a lot. And I'm going to introduce you to somebody in just a few moments. One of my producers, but when it's like an African American person coming into the business, they say, "Oh, they're not welcoming to African American artists," and I don't know. I think some of that could be true, like within the industry part of it. I don't know. I don't think it is with the artists, for sure, and the community. I haven't seen that.
Honestly,
I don't know. How's it been to you all? Doesn't seem like it.
I feel like true country music fans and people who have been in the industry, they're welcoming to authenticity.
Yes.
Real, I mean, we're about as country as the day is long. Growing up in Poplarville, Mississippi, you ain't got a choice. But even whenever we first got started, there were like a few people who like John Rich reached out to us years before AGT. His I've been seeing you girls, and I know it's different. People are going to be confused. They were confused when Big and Rich showed up. But just keep doing it, keep pressing on. And he's been our champion since the beginning. Darius Rucker reached out before hardly anyone knew who we were. And we were the whole time, like Danica said, we were just, hey, we're Chapel Hart, listen to our music. But people were actually seeing it, and whenever they see the authenticity, it's I see it, I appreciate it, and let me know what I can do to help.
I love that because we do need it. We need, because country music is that. It is diverse. It's always been that. And I work with a lot of people, and outside of the genres and stuff too. Little Richard, he was a friend of mine. His favorite music was country music, especially the old time and gospel music was his favorite, but country music was his next. And but of course he's famous for rock and roll, but that's not, he didn't want to listen to that. He wanted to listen to gospel or country music. So, it's interesting because a lot of people, that's what they tell me. They grew up listening to country music, and you wouldn't, Solomon Burke, the rock singer and all that stuff, and they sing really good country music. Or really good soulful versions of, in their own style of whatever, and it's so amazing to melt that all together. It's I love it. But you guys though, I mean, there's no melting. I mean, you all are. You know what I'm saying? You're not melted into it. You are it. And so I just, it's so authentic. and I love every bit of it. Who would you, who are some of your dream collaborations, like 2 or 3? I know you just did a whole bunch,
Right?
but
We have a list.
oh, see, I know it has to be
I will
continued.
say we would like to do something with Little Big Town.
Yes.
The Ozzies have opened us up to group singing. Okay,
Yes.
At first, we did our song Christmas Day on our Christmas album. We sang with them, and I said one of the things I was so nervous about. I was like, I want every voice to have a space in this song.
Yes.
But I don't want it to sound cluttered.
Yes.
And so as I'm producing, I'm like trying to figure out like how to make this work. And the way that it all settled, I was like, can we just sing with groups from now on?
Yeah.
Please. And so Little Big Town is a big one. I think one of the most underrated male vocals in country music. I love Chris Young's voice. It's so like deep and rich. And so we've got a song that we duet that we wrote with a friend of ours. And so we've been trying to like figure out who do we do this with. And the other night we were like, Chris Young.
Chris Young.
Young, like, so if he would be ultimately this is our pitch to Chris Young
Yes,
to give
Chris.
us a
Yes.
call. Okay, it's
Call her.
call him Chris. Look, but there's so many.
Oh my goodness.
Dolly for sure is at the top of that list, and I know she's the busiest woman in the whole world.
Dolly, that'd
Yeah.
be great. Yeah, you all with Dolly would be perfect.
And in
That's
my
a-
mind, I feel like we should do like almost like an outlaw women situation.
Yes.
We've had our duet with Gretchen, but if we can get like Gretchen and Tanya, bring
Oh, wow.
Miranda, maybe Ashley,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
a whole like a bunch of just girl power.
That'd
I'm
be
like
fun.
here for it.
I
Yeah.
think y'all would, that would tear it up. I think y'all would be so amazing for that. Now, okay, so I guess your dream would be to become Opry members.
Let me tell
The day
you,
that happened.
when somebody says
literally,
The day-
like when you just have to say Opry, and my heart just goes like,
think-
I'm like, don't you say it, don't you say it, don't you say it. Oh,
I think the day that we get asked to become members, if that day ever happens, but we're
It's gonna
claiming that.
happen.
We're claiming that. Yeah, we always say they need to make sure they have like a couch or something because we're all just gonna pass out.
I'm gonna need 3 things. I'm gonna need a fainting couch, a defibrillator, and maybe some Depends. Because I don't know how it's
there
gonna
is
go.
no way. There's no way to know how this is gonna go.
You
Okay,
just-
but I mean, we were doing our Opry debut, and before we left the building, they were like, are y'all coming back for our birthday party? We were like, yes. We didn't even check our schedule to see what we had going, but we were back for the birthday party, and then we were back a little
every
bit after
month.
that, and then we were back right after that.
I think
and
we've
so,
played the Opry like somewhere in the 20s now, like our
25-ish or something.
Somewhere
I
in
kid you
there.
not. And so, like, there used to be a time we'd come to town and we were like, all right, let's just dress up and we're going downtown. We're going to see what's going on. We're going to go see who's playing. And so now we're like,
Let's put on some clothes and go to the
let's see who's at the Opry
Opry.
tonight. Let's go hang out. And so we just go hang out with all our friends there.
I
And
love
so
that.
that
I
is
love
just,
Isn't it the best? It's some like backstage. Sometimes it's some of the best.
Oh my goodness.
You know.
It really is, and not even just like the artists, because like I feel like at this point, most of the artists at the Opry are our family at this point. But from the time you walk in the back and Uncle Jim greets you, like the staff, like the crew, everyone who works at the Opry, I'm pretty sure we get on their nerves. Like
we also like, I said, we're like the spoiled grandchildren of the Opry. Like, we're like, oh, can we get a hot dog? Can we get a, and they're like, you got it. I was like, do not, like, do you
And Fort Clark loves the hot dogs. That's what he used to do.
Oh my
God.
I got a picture. He's eating a hot dog in my picture.
My
I
favorite
was like, what is he
part.
holding? And he's,
I tell people all the time, Dev, and I was at one point I was like, Dev, do you really even like going to the Opry to go, or do you just want to go get the Opry dog? And she was like, do I have to be honest? And so I was like, don't.
They're so
I won't make
good
you
though.
say it.
Like
But-
I've never been the type of person. True, saying this the other day. I don't typically like just plain hot dogs. I need my chili and my cheese on my hot dog. But those
Let me
Opry
tell you what.
dogs.
We were in an interview one time. I said, Dev, one time we were somewhere, Dev passed out. We took the Opry dog and waved it under her nose, and she was like, and I was like, that's how we knew she wasn't gone. And so like just like literally just it's all the things. And you know, like I said, I don't believe there's a country artist who doesn't have Grand Ole Opry debut and Grand Ole Opry member on their vision board, on their to-do list, on their want-to list, on their Santa will you get me list, and whatever the list is. And so I think that we're just like any other artist, and you know, we would be, I don't know if there's a word beyond honored, but it's the biggest word I can think of right now, elated. We'd be over the moon to be Opry members, and like I said, we've got our fingers crossed and we've got our prayers up, and you know,
I can't wait to get mail.
I know.
Oh, yeah, you
Get
get a mailbox.
I saw a video the other day where Keith Urban came and he got his mail, he laid it all out and he was reading it at the table. When you walked backstage, he was going through and he was actually reading the letters, and I was like, oh, that's so
Nicest
fun.
man. Isn't he nice? Have you met him yet?
Yes.
He is.
Can I tell you my Keith Urban story? Lord,
You tell us anything
my
you want to.
My mama used to say, she said, girl, you're an oversharer. She told me this when I was little. She said, you don't have to tell everything. And so, but being an oversharer, kind of what comes up comes out.
Yeah.
And you spend most of your time going, oh, maybe that wasn't the right thing to say.
Me too.
And so we were at the Opry, and I had on a shirt, and the sleeves kind of came down, and I've got a tattoo right here that says love, and it's love, but it's in the shape of a heart. So it's a kind of cool way that it's. And we were talking, and Keith was like, oh, you've got a love tattoo. He's like, I've got one as well.
then he just went.
And I was like, he said, I got one as well. It's on my back. And I said, can I see it? And I was like, oh. And he was like, well, yeah. And I was like,
He literally just
and I was like, I'm sorry. I want to see it, but I didn't mean to have you take your shirt off. But you know, you get Keith Urban undressed.
But he also has really great hair too.
There you go. So it was my.
I've never of all the time, I've met him several times, but I've never seen
Had him take his shirt
Nicole.
off.
Oh no, I never.
Right. Did you say she was at the Opry the other night?
Dollywood too. They went to
Really?
Dollywood.
Oh, she was there, and I was like, the one time we not at the Opry.
And Gwen and Blake
Blake.
went to the Opry. My friends met them there. They worked at Dollywood. They met them there.
That
And
is
so a lot of people
cool.
just go. And Katy Perry's been to Dollywood. And different stars have been there just hanging out at Dollywood.
We love Dollywood too.
Have you been?
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Perform at Dollywood.
Yeah.
We used to perform at Dollywood. Dottie did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I was like,
Right?
it's like going to Walmart. Deb always says it's a little harder to go to Walmart now because people know it's a good bit. So like we go to Dollywood, and before we can kind of like get in stride to like go see things, it's like a show, which is beautiful, which is a beautiful thing. But also when you want to go see all the things at Dollywood, you only got 1 hour. It makes it kind of hard. But so we usually get around about like where the bread and the bakery is, and then we got to get back to the theater and hit.
One of these days, we're going to get on the rides. I
We
want
gotta
to
go
get on the
dressed
wooden.
incognito, like in costume.
I'm gonna wear a wig.
There you go. There you go.
Tree is always
They'll know
looking for
you,
an
I'm sure.
excuse to wear a wig, so you just.
And get the little buggy. Drive around a little buggy. Nobody can really stop you if you're in a buggy.
Oh, we can dress like old ladies.
Yeah, no, three little.
They'll never.
I did that because I had a broken situation. Yeah, and then you can do that. And
That's fun.
my kids love it when I do that because I stop. People stop and talk to me for different reasons, but because I know a lot of people down there. And and I'll stop and I'll talk and talk. Because I won't, And we work there a lot too at Dottie, so I know all the worker and a lot of the workers.
Yeah.
So so they stop and talk to you, and so when I had that little buggy, they would say, "Get that buggy,"
There you go.
because nobody can stop you. But anyway, if you get that, then that'll help you out.
I think you
plus
might-
it'll save your knees.
I think you might have just made our next plan.
Yeah.
So I'm good at
Game
this.
plan.
I want to bring in my associate producer. This is Denise Johnson, and we were talking.
Hey girl. Hey girl.
How you doing?
She's amazing, and when she came on to help me out this season, the first group I said I'd like to have is Chapel Hart, and she said, "Hey, I'm going to see them, and why don't we go together? And if they meet you, I think that they would do the show." So she was right, and it worked out good. So it was definitely a God thing. I want her to ask you a few things because she's coming into the business, and I thought you might be able to give her some advice. But also, what do you guys think? And I'm kind of leading into this. With you've had this song with Jolene and everything. It made me think of the whole thing with Beyonce's done like a country music album, and a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people did. I think anything's okay. I'm for everybody doing whatever they want to do,
Right.
and whatever brings people to like Nashville and like country music or whatever. I'm all cool with everything. What did you guys think about it? Like people. Did you like the album's your style or no style, or you don't care, don't want to talk about it?
Kind of like what you said.
Yeah.
Everybody's free to do whatever it is that they like to do, and I think it was kind of cool to I think country music is doing cool things right now. There's so many different like subgenres of country music, and
That's
I think
what she and I say.
it's cool to see people who typically wouldn't listen to traditional country.
Yeah.
It's becoming something for everybody.
Yes.
Everybody's finding their own little taste. And I think Beyonce, what she did, she just brought more people, brought light to country.
Ears
Yeah,
eyes,
more
right.
ears and eyes. I love that. And I think for me too, I think that I'm always a pusher to say do what you want, jump out and try it. But I'm also a little bit old school in my raising in this that I'd always like to start with the flip. If I were to go into hip hop and if I were to put out a hip hop album, probably the hip hop community would be like, now who is she and what is she doing?
What is she doing?
Get her out of there, because hip hop music listeners get to decide what hip hop is.
Yes.
It's the music that in the struggle of that, and when people rap about the struggle that they've been into, the people who are in that and do that they listen and go, that's my life, man. That's it. And so the same with country music. I was like, I welcome anybody if you to come in and try it. But country music fans get to say what country music is, because it is the music that they grew up on. It is the stories that their heart, it's the stories of their heart, it's the stories of their childhood and of their youth. And so and I think that's the both sides of the coin for me. Jump in, everybody jump in and try it, but also don't be offended if country music fans say
and I think
doesn't resonate.
She and I were talking, I think with Post Malone, he came to Nashville and kind of did his here. And I think that kind of helps. When you he kind of maybe co-wrote some songs with some people and kind of worked it in that way. And I think he was always a fan of country or whatever as well. And so I think that's maybe why his kind of
Had a
was
different
more,
reaction.
yes, maybe. I don't know, but I think her sold more probably. So, but you're
but
right.
also, I think when you're Beyonce, I think you could put out
Anything, right?
You could put out number 2 pencils and they'd be the best selling
Number one, number twos.
Exactly.
number 1, number 2 pencils in the world, but because it's Beyonce, but
Right. Now, I had a question for you. So, speaking of struggle, you were talking about struggle a little bit. I had a chance to speak to Mickey Guyton a couple of years ago, and she was telling me how, the challenges she had as a black woman in this business, and that she was thinking about leaving. And I thought I heard something that you guys, or you had thought about leaving country music altogether. Is that true? Was it just a couple of years ago, or can you clarify?
Yes, that was we went live one day, and it was simply to just say we can't do.
I wanted to just interject to say that it was a moment, because I think that probably if there's a top 3 things that we're known for, and our interaction with our fans, I believe, is in that top 3.
Yeah.
And so we had an evening where we were just sitting down to talk to them, to tell them listen, if you're not seeing us on. We've got to pull out of the business industry game, because as independent artists we can't afford it, and we've never been the keep up with the Joneses kind of people. We don't get me wrong, we tried even in we were on tour, and we bought the bus for tour and all the things, and we got out of tour and we were almost as broke as when we started,
Yeah.
but like trying to keep up. So like the way that we could do it and the way that made sense to us is we bought an RV. It had bunks in it, and it was enough bunks for us and a few
Yep,
more people
that's
to
the
ride.
way to do it.
And it's a Rhonda Vincent told me, she said, "Honey, don't do that. It's gonna be a rough ride." And it's a rough ride right now, but it's what we can afford. It's how
right.
we make it happen.
Yeah.
And so that was really what our sit down was to tell them that like we can't, although we are in the conversations with the Jelly Rolls and Laney's and Ashley McBride's, I was like, we can't afford to buy a $3,000 dress to go walk on the red carpet every time there's a red carpet.
Right.
Or, so I said, and also too, like trying to keep up, we've lost sight a little bit of the things that we originally we started music to do, which was to go visit veterans and nursing homes and places where people
Love
couldn't
that.
come out to music, is to bring it to them and to go to schools and tell kids you can be whatever you want to be, but it takes hard work and dedication, and it takes you to lean on a higher power. It takes you to believe in God and trust in God and trust that He has a plan for you. And so, but we weren't doing any of this stuff because we were like trying to like, hey,
Keep up.
can we
We
get
gotta
on
go
your
to
tour?
this
Will you
award
take us
show,
out on
gotta
your
go
tour? Will you?
there.
And award shows and this and that. And we're like, we just said that we're pulling out of that and we're gonna do Chapel Hart. And whenever some
was-
record label is ready to pick us up, we are open. We're open to sit down and go through all things. And when we get those calls, we'll keep y'all updated on what's going on. But
So-
That
By no
message,
means-
that message just got completely
baby,
we
we woke up the
twisted,
next morning
and
and
every article,
and
it was like Chapel Hart quits
how is
country
this even a
music,
story? Like,
Oh my God.
And I feel
Yeah.
like it was
Yeah.
like one of the most
convoluted.
misquoted things ever because like we weren't leaving the industry. We were leaving the industry rat race because, like you have to run your own race. I mean,
Exactly.
it's great and like we applaud our friends and our contemporaries when we see them succeed, but that's not where we are. We don't have a UMG or a Sony behind us footing the bill. Like, it's still very much working from the sweat of our brow, getting on the road, being front of house and then having to run to the back to cook the burgers too. And then to run around,
To be
put the hat on,
catering
and
in there,
then to put them out and give them to the people.
I was gonna say we did an interview on the Tamron Hall show, and
saw.
Danica made a comment saying like pretty much talking about how we went on tour, and then we were kind of broke after that, and somebody kind of was like, how do you do a 60-date tour and don't have any money? But like when you're independent, you're literally paying for it.
It's hard to just break
Everything.
even.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of times, a
Yeah.
lot of times, and so but it's. I said to somebody one time, I said, I always just say, don't ever, you don't necessarily have to take my advice. Just look at the fruit of, you know what I mean? Because there was a moment, and I think maybe 2020, when all the record labels and country music was like, let's black out our social media to stand in solidarity with, with black people and black
Right.
people in this industry, and we want to do this, and we were like, yes, like, because I always tell people, I'm not asking for the hand up, I'm asking for the door open, just because if I get there and if I don't come prepared and I don't come with A1 songs, tell me I suck and I need to go back to the drawing board, and I'm okay with that. But a lot of times it's getting even to the room to be able to say, well, listen to this
Sit
song.
down. Yeah.
And so, but I always just said, like, I think probably every label put on, they blacked out their social media, and I said, okay, it's time.
Something. It's
It's
shifting.
time.
There's a shift going on.
And
I like that.
And
And-
it was just posts.
well, but I'll say this. I'll say,
That's the kind of the same thing after the Beyonce thing. Everybody was they were like on all the TV shows, they're going to do all of this and bring everybody in, and then it was like 2 weeks, a month of
Yeah,
that.
and I'm
and it's
like,
gone.
and I was like, well,
I was
if you've
hopeful
seen it,
anyway.
then about
There
me.
is like something, have you heard about this? I haven't been there, but I heard there's something called the Black Opry or something in Nashville. I haven't been to it.
I don't know if it's so much a play.
I think
Is there
it's
a
like
show?
an organization.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
I thought maybe, okay, so it's not
And
like
so-
a radio show or something.
Right. So
Okay.
I think it's like it's a like a company.
Oh.
And they they kind of take. Don't hold me at this, but I think they take in like black and black artists,
Oh, I know.
and so they say it's the Black Opry, and then like they take the Black Opry and go to festivals.
Oh,
so they
gotcha.
say
Right.
these
So it's not
three
an
are-
official.
And he's not a
Yeah,
place.
that's
Right.
Gotcha.
Not a
It's not a place, like, like if you can go to the Grand Ole Opry, or
gotcha.
it's an organization.
Yes.
I think is probably a better way to describe it.
Gotcha.
I do, because you said don't take my advice, but I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give, each of you, to women in general and black women specifically if they want to get into country music
Now I'm
specifically?
saying take my advice.
I would say my thing would just be yourself. I think that is one thing that has been a key thing for us. Just people, I think it's so easy to get caught up in the industry game and everything that's going around, and it's like you should be doing this, you should do that. But I think just staying true to yourself is probably the easiest thing to do, because it's like once you change who you are one time, you got to keep that up, and that's hard. So it's like just be
authentic.
yourself. Yeah.
My daddy used to always say, you better stand for something or you'll fall for anything. And so the best, I think, advice that I can give is know who you are, know what you stand in, know what you believe in, know what you'll say yes to, know what you'll say no to, and be okay with that. And and sometimes saying no may douse you out forever. But if you know who you are, and at the end of the day you can go, I wouldn't stand for that. Like I wouldn't. And you gotta just stand on the things that you know are sure, and be, like Deb said, be exactly who you are. Show up as you. Be you. And you know what I'm saying? Maybe you didn't come from the most countryest place in the world, but maybe it's country from your perspective and country from the way that you see it.
And
And
you can respect that, I think, more than, because when it's fake, people can spot that out in a heartbeat.
You can tell a cosplay cowboy.
Yeah.
you
Cosplay.
tell a dog with a lion, you tell a dog in a lion's costume, and you can surely tell what a real lion looks like. And so
And I would have to say, just don't quit. If it's something you really want to do, believe in yourself. Find your team. Find the people who believe in you, sometimes more than you, because sometimes you don't have it in you to believe in yourself as much as you need to. But believe in yourself, and don't stop. When I say we have had every kind of no possible, no, nine, niet, all of those things, every possible no, but you have to find a way to turn those no's into motivation and keep pushing. I mean, sometimes it's not a no, it's just not a not yet, and find another way. If the door ain't open, go through a window.
there you go. But I love what Tree said. I think your team is the biggest. Find you. I always kind of try to get down to the core of a few things. Find you. Everybody got that one rude friend that, like, even if you didn't ask them, is my makeup messed up? She'll be like, ooh, girl, you need to fix your lips. Like, find you one of those friends, because when it comes down to tell you the absolute truth, even if they hurt your feelings, you need a friend who will tell you the absolute truth. And you might fall out, but it's 100%. It's
real.
the truth.
Yeah, you don't need a bunch of yes people in your life.
Get as few of them as possible. You might need one just to, to keep your morale good. Like, even if you write a bad song, I love it. At least it keeps you writing.
You'll still have that honest friend to balance that out, to be like, that's not it. Let's go back to the drawing board.
But you on the right track, but that ain't it. But also you need a very honest friend. You can. I'm not objecting yes people, because you do sometimes need those, but also you need a friend who will cover you in prayer anytime you call them. That you can call them at 3 a.m. and be like, I can't tell you, just start praying. They go, okay, I got you. I got you.
Speak a little bit about Jesus and alcohol and your faith walk throughout this whole thing. Can you speak a little to that?
Jesus and alcohol. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this entire journey is nothing but a faith walk, honey. When I say at every crook and turn of this journey, like, people are like, this will never work. This is career suicide. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. But you have to get to a place where you're willing to step out on faith. And a lot of the times, the things that people say, oh, this will be the downfall, this will be the detriment, that's actually the thing that's going to elevate you a little higher. And I feel like Jesus and alcohol is definitely like a really special song to us, because we grew up in the church. Our grandfather's a minister, their dad's a minister, and and so, like I say, everything that we've done has been a walk of faith, but also we're human too. So, I might do some scriptures, I might do some sipping. We're going to get through it.
Well, I also, we wrote this song from a place of realness. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes maybe we might be a little too real, but at some of the roughest points in my life, I was a choir director. I was a praise and worship leader. And, I was going through just some rough seasons of my life. And I said, even in my stupidity, even in when I was just so ignorant, like who did I think I was? But I would be drunk as a skunk on Saturday and show up on Sunday and have the nerve to praise God. And there were times where I was like, God, why would you let me do this? And he said, I called you. He said, I'll cover you.
Yes.
I'll cover you in these seasons. He said, but I called you. You're called to this. And so I said, and so Jesus and alcohol was really from that place of like, I had some heartbreaks, and don't get me wrong, Jesus was, I always had Jesus, even if he wasn't positioned correctly, I had him there. So even though I could take down a case of 24-pack Budweiser, I never let go of Jesus. And so when it came time to be delivered, or it came time for deliverance,
Yes.
like he was always there. And so it's a fun song, but we did an interview with a mom and a daughter one time, and she said, I want to thank. She said, you had a song. She said she said it absolutely, like it healed me. And I said, I'm going through every nearby spiritual song we got in our catalog, and I'm just thinking. And she was like, Jesus and alcohol. And I said,
Well,
she said,
Wow.
she said, I had my son, and she said he passed away at 2 years old. She said, it's a pain that I pray that no one ever has to go through. She said, I was just numb. She said, I drank and drank and drank and drank. She said, but somehow in there, I never forgot Jesus. And when she said it, I was like, that's the one.
it.
That's the one. There were so many people on YouTube. This is blasphemy.
Blasphemy. We got
And I
called
was like,
hood. Wait. This is my favorite.
comment. Internet gold.
Honestly, whoever this guy is, you stay in my head rent free, because this comment did it for me. He told us on the video. He said, somebody get these hood hyena Jezebel daughters. And I'm like,
Don't you just love it?
wow.
We have some lovely Christian people.
I said, because fighting fire with fire has always been the answer, right? And so, but that, I said, and I always say, we've been trained as a society to look at the numbers, and if it didn't go viral, did we do good enough? And I'm now having to go through a season of reprogramming myself, where it's just like, if you say something inspirational, and if only 50 people click the heart button, or only 50 people like it, and 2 people comment, that might have been for one of those 2 people. That might have been for those 2 people.
It's a form of ministry that you guys
That's
are doing.
exactly it.
And so whoever it's meant to.
And, and it's like, in due season, he'll increase the numbers, but sometimes you got to just be faithful when there's 50. And,
Sometimes you got to be faithful when there's just 5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you say, you never know. Oh, just a random song to you might be the thing that brings somebody from the brink. So, like you say, you can't be distracted by the glitz, the glam, the numbers, the this, just do what you're called here to do.
That's amazing. Just one last thing. You guys have done a lot of trailblazing, especially when you did America's Got Talent and all that. You kind of got a lot of trailblazing things happen to you. And there's been a lot of, people don't realize that with country music, Black people were there from the beginning. And we're actually going to have this lady on, Alice Randall. I don't know if you know her, but we got a copy of this book for each of you. It's My Black Country, A Journey Through Country Music's Black Past, Present, and Future. And she's amazing. We'll have her on next month. So I wanted to get a copy of that and some other goodies to you. But she was talking about, you guys are on the Opry tonight, so she was talking about, are you aware of D. Fort Bailey and the history of the Opry and I think her name is
Now,
Little
that's my heartbreak, Little People Are Bailey
Armstrong
stuff.
is her name. She was on the first Black million-selling country record. She played piano on it, Little Hardin Armstrong, called Blue Yodel No. 9, I believe it was called, something like that. So people didn't realize that she was on there, but this woman proved that she actually contributed. Her history was erased. So how do you see yourselves when you're at the Opry and you're standing on this legacy? It's sort of like you're creating, this Black country educating people in a way, so.
I think a lot of times, like, we don't even realize it because we're in it, and we're busy, trying to get shows and songs and outfits and everything else together,
Right.
that you don't realize that you're necessarily blazing trails. But we actually got the chance to meet DeFord's, was it his great grandson?
DeFord
Oh
Bailey.
yeah.
It wasn't. I think
Yeah.
Yes.
He was
Yeah.
a superstar.
We met his
at the
great
Opry.
grandson, and just, I don't know, it's just such an honor to even be a part of the story. I feel like we are just a very small puzzle piece to, like you say, a very deep history, and who knows what the future is going to bring.
Yes.
And the fact that you said, like, if we're helping bring more eyes to it, bring more awareness to it, I'm just glad to be in that number.
I think also too, just to kind of, expand a little bit, is that, I think that, like Tree said, when you're in it, you don't feel like you're blazing trails. It just feels like, sometimes it feels like struggle after struggle after struggle after struggle. And like, you just keep having those I made it moments, like, we may not have come out in profit, but we made it. Like, we made it.
Yes.
And so, but we had a show, I think it was in Atlanta, and there was 3 little girls that dressed crazy. There was 3 little girls that dressed up as us that night, but also 3 adults that came as us. One lady was like, I'm Danica, another was like, I'm Danica, and I'm Tree.
What an honor.
And I said, and it was
beautiful.
such a beautiful moment to see, that your fellow African Americans are embracing you. And there's people who come to our shows all the time and say, listen, girl, I do not listen to country music, but I knew that y'all were coming close, and I had to be one of these tickets, okay? She was like, I couldn't let the moment come by and not show my support.
Yes.
And so I bought a shirt to come in line just to tell you that I love you and I'm supporting you and we're rooting for you. But also too, I think that it turns, and then there's a bigger picture when you widen the scope. And we were in Meridian, Mississippi, and there was this little girl online. And honestly, I thought she had to pee. Like,
She was
somebody
just-
get that little girl to the bathroom. Like, we're gonna give her a hug. But she just was like itching. And she got to the front of the line. And before the people, we finished hugging the people, she just took off running. And she opened her arms and she came and she hugged me. And she was a little chunky white girl, and she had pigtails. And she said, "You look just like me." And I was like, she was a little plus size. She was a little chunky girl. And she said, "You look just like me." And it was then that I realized that there's a much bigger picture here. Like there's a for a long time we thought it was, kind of black and white, and that we're doing this really powerful thing for Black women. And I know that we are, but also, just this little plus size girl in Meridian, Mississippi, who
identifies with
she
you.
turns on the TV and she sees that country music women look a certain way to her. She had never seen, a plus size country woman in country music taking up the space that looked like her. And I was like, I remember being a little girl saying, I don't see any black. That was Gretchen Wilson for me, and I was like, I don't see any black. Like, I don't see no black people here. But if they'll take her, they'll take me.
Gretchen is different.
Yeah, Gretchen's a strong Black woman.
We told her that one day. I think when we first met her, we said, Gretchen, we said you were a strong Black woman. She just laughed.
She was like, well, thank you. But definitely, it really changed the perspective of you can see it, you can be it. And, we thought that looked one way, and it turns out if you widen the scope, like, everybody just wants to know that if you can do it, they can do it.
Exactly.
And I was like, if there is
Inspirational.
nothing more about the message that we have, there's nothing more that we do. We just want people to say, look, we always say, we are 3 regular, degular, schmegular girls from Mississippi. If we can do it, you can do it.
Small town Mississippi. Our hometown has one stoplight.
What?
And
Oh my gosh.
Now
Wow.
we got a McDonald's. We don't have a Walmart yet.
we don't have a Walmart yet, but we do have $2 stores.
Oh well, hey.
Dollar stores.
You don't have roses? Remember, have you ever heard of those?
We had a Fred's.
Yeah.
Look,
Oh my gosh.
But that Dollar General ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, y'all doing great.
Try to do,
Dollar
baby.
General ain't going nowhere.
I used to love to go get their little cheap picture frames that they had because they were kind of nice looking on this, you know.
But I tell you what, and then they always had a sale on the picture frames.
Yes.
Like it was always
They're
so
cheap, yeah.
Look, yeah.
Yeah, like if somebody's
They're
gonna, you know,
cheap, too.
try to knock them over or something anyway, you know, when you have little kids and everything.
Much.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I just absolutely just love you guys, and all of your music is just incredible, and I think, you know, anybody interested in booking and everything, booking them. You probably could even do churches even. You know, they have these huge churches now.
Oh, yeah.
I see, like your Christmas show is so amazing that, and your whole thing is like, I mean, you could really minister even, and you come from that background too. But I mean,
I always tell people, don't get me preaching up in here. That's a different fee.
you know,
You pay the ticket to come here to concert, but preaching is different. But yeah, we do a lot of
good.
churches and
festivals
youth,
and
Like,
yeah,
you know,
everything.
parties,
yeah.
anything. So just about anything. Then.
Churches, schools, like nursing
Nursing
homes,
homes.
VAs.
Oh, wow.
We've done everything from bar rooms, backyards, ballrooms, and in between.
Well, you heard it here, and I mean they are amazing. Book them, buy their music, support their work, support everything that they do, and like I said, they're amazing on social media as well. They interact with their fans, and go see them in concert. They usually meet with people after their shows. All their shows are closed. Unless
that's pretty much most.
Yeah,
unless the
unless it's
venue stuff. But,
right, sometimes that happens. And but anyway, support their music, support them. I love them, and share this video and subscribe, and come next month and watch us again. And you never know who's going to be here. We might have one of their favorites on here, you know, that they mentioned, and we've talked about a few that's coming. So anyway, stick around and catch us next month.
Hey guys, it's Larry. Thank you so much for all the support for our show, MrNashvilleTalks.com. And I thank you so much for visiting our website, for sharing all our things that we post and all our videos and all our shows. We couldn't do it without you. Our show is totally dependent on viewer support, and you're giving us a lot of that with all your social media likes and shares and tweets and everything that you're doing, and I can't thank you enough. Also, if you want to help a little further, we would love that, and you can help take us even farther and farther and farther up the ladder by going to our store at MrNashvilleTalks.com and purchasing a souvenir or some music, or there's no telling what you'll find there. We're always adding something. We have great plans to add a lot of great things there, so please support our store and support all our social media, and most of all, support our show, because we support you. We want to bring you these great people. Thank you so much. Now subscribe right here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, just subscribe right here. We need some subscribers.